What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about things that are actually cheap in Norway. This is a great topic, I think. I found this discussion on Reddit, on the Norway subreddit, of people discussing Norway is known for being expensive, but what is actually cheap in Norway compared to other countries? And I was like, yes. I have heard this so many times that Norway is so expensive, the cost of living is so expensive, everything is so expensive, prohibitively so. It's crazy. And I was like, found this, and I was like, wow, finally, let's find some things that are actually like reasonably priced, some things that might surprise me. Because I have heard about the Norway being associated with expensive stuff, and then lo and behold, things that are cheap. I thought this would be fascinating. So let's take a look, right? Um, Super expensive wine is cheap in Norway. Really? Super expensive wine. Wow, it's pretty nice. All alcoholic beverages over 4.75% must be sold at the Vinmonopolet, the government-owned alcoholic beverage retailer. Yeah, I've heard about that. Government-owned alcoholic retailer. Right. They can add a fixed margin to the price and not adjust this margin based on demand. This makes expensive wine cheap in Norway compared to other countries. Oh, so it happens to be a product of like the government-owned alcohol retailer not being able to adjust the prices based on demand. So this can result in expensive great wine being cheap compared to other countries. It's probably still super expensive, but cheaper. That's really interesting. And the selection is very good. I like wine and do not want to change this for the world. It doesn't even have to be super expensive. You can find wines competitively priced relative to other countries already from around 300 NOK. Craft beer, on the other hand, is hideously expensive, huh? It's too bad. Wine, fine wine? Of all the things to be not super expensive in Norway, fine wine. That's very interesting to me. That's funny. Be aware that this is just an anecdote, but when I did a year as a UN military observer in South Sudan, I was asked by my African and South African colleagues to buy electronics, cameras, hard drives, game consoles, for them when I go home on leave. It was cheaper in Norway than in their home countries. Huh. Healthcare is also quite cheap if you're a legal resident or citizen. Right. The healthcare. That's fantastic, by the way. Don't get me started on the pricing in healthcare and health insurance in America. I'm not even going to get started on that. But every time I see that healthcare is actually cheap and affordable if you're a Norwegian citizen, it's just like, that's fantastic. I'm not jealous at all. I can confirm that even after VAT, most electronics will beat Amazon's prices. Get a VAT refund, and we're talking massive savings? Really? Norway just has all the hacks, all the secret, like, what? Fine wine and electronics? And seemingly through, like, interesting means of accomplishing that. Diapers! I know foreigners stock up on diapers. In Norway, even Swedes. Diapers? Diapers. You know, that's good. Of all the things to be like cheap and available, stuff for the babies, diapers, that's great. Very random. Very random. Yep, I live in Norway, but when we have a baby and went for a vacation to my native country, we stocked up on diapers, sent it through delivery company, and managed to save a couple €100 or thousands of NOK. These prices are ridiculously low here of diapers, which of course is a good thing. Diapers. I think that's great. It's kind of like the healthcare thing where Norway and education, right? Norway prioritizes things that are good for like Norwegians that are like vitally good and necessary. Those are the things that they focus on being cheap, things that are absolutely critical. That's very cool. The prices on lots of the things that you need for babies are pretty low, from what I remember. Yeah, that's great. Also for things that aren't cheap, like strollers, there's no import tax. Or at least that was the case several years ago. Wow. That's great. Wow. I can really only compare Norway and Canada, so obviously this won't apply to every country, but mobile phone plans are cheaper here in Norway than Canada. And there's no worries about roaming in Norway or most of Europe. Really? Coverage in all of Norway, even with all the crazy fjords and mountains and geography. Good coverage. That's pretty important. Meanwhile, in Canada, if I walked 30 minutes from my apartment and was in a different area code, the roaming and long distance prices were high. Wow. Okay. Phones are cheaper too? Electricity prices are cheaper in Norway than Canada, at least. I know it's pretty expensive right now, and it's causing some people problems, but honestly, I'm still paying less in Norway than in Canada. Wow. Good. I mean, again, good. Electricity, important stuff. Electricity used to be cheap, but not anymore. If I read again how much a shower will cost us, I will rail against the sky. Childcare is not expensive. That is so great. We have a max price on kindergarten, which is around 3,230 NOK a month. Wow. That is like one of the best things I've heard about Norway. And I've heard a lot of things, but making childcare easy and affordable. That's so great, especially thinking about some of the people struggle with in America with affording childcare. Like, that's so sad. It is very sad. And not surprisingly, Norway prioritizes it, which is very good. You're not supposed to have to pay more than 15% of your income on kindergarten. So low-income families can pay a lot less. Yeah, making it a percent is very smart as well. So it scales down to low-income families. I currently have 2 kids in kindergarten, and we only pay 1,600 NOK for both. So that's only $160 US dollars a month. That's incredible. Wow. Education, free. Yes. Yes, I'm glad someone mentioned this one. Yeah, like especially university, right? University in Norway is free. It's kind of like healthcare. Don't get me started. Don't get me going off on some kind of crazy tangent about healthcare and education in America. It's not good. But then I get to come learn about Norway, and I can calm down and be like, okay, somewhere on this planet, people are doing it right, and I can breathe sort of a sigh of relief. And jealousy. Free university in Norway. That's crazy. That's insane in a good way. Because in America, it's outrageous. Outrageous. I really want to move to Norway because of this, but meh. I am still not halfway saving up for the financial requirements, visa requirements. Okay. I think it's even cheaper in Denmark. Good grief. Wait, how can you get cheaper than free? How can you be cheaper than free? What? I live in Tokyo. Surprisingly, fruits and vegetables are expensive compared to Norway. Okay. But fruits and vegetables are expensive in Tokyo compared to everywhere. Okay, so not necessarily applicable to just Norway. Diapers! The diapers, man. It's one of the few things is actually smuggled out of Norway. Smuggled. The diaper smuggling of Norway. Oh, there's like an evil secret underground diaper smuggling ring in Norway that I never knew about, right? That is great. H&M. Is that a clothing company? H&M? My wife is Polish and tells me how ridiculously expensive H&M is in Poland compared to Norway. Okay. Okay, I wonder if that's just Poland or if Norway has cheaper clothing randomly. Oh, this is more about the clothing. Yeah, maybe it's just expensive in Poland, honestly. Electric cars. Electric cars. Are they cheaper? I know that Norway is like, gosh, maybe has the most electric cars compared to the population than any country on Earth, right? The electrification of cars in Norway is talked about in America when electric cars are talked about, and it's honestly incredibly impressive. How much of Norway has transitioned over that sustainable energy? That's awesome. But are they cheaper in Norway, or are they just common? Are they? I thought they were about similar to other countries. It's just the non-electric cars are more expensive. I just checked a Model 3. So this person checked the price of a Tesla Model 3 in Germany versus Norway. They are cheaper in Norway. Oh, interesting. 43,000 euros or 440,000 NOK versus 370,000 NOK. Okay, that's a fair bit cheaper. Yeah, like over 10% cheaper, 15% cheaper in Norway? Electric cars. Compared to Germany, at least. Wow, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Good health care. Yeah, yeah. Potatoes. Potatoes. Norwegians like potatoes, right? Norwegians use potatoes a lot. I love potatoes, by the way. I could I could survive in Norway on the potatoes, especially if they're cheap. According to this discussion, potatoes. But potatoes are cheap in America too. Like that's one of the nice things is stuff that's grown like that in bulk is pretty cheap in America. I would never dream of insulting such a source of national pride, but you are going to be disappointed with the potatoes. What? On the other hand, if you have little kids, you are not going to believe how much cheaper a creche is compared to Ireland. What is a creche? What does that mean? Let me look that up. A nursery where babies are cared for? Is that what we're talking about? Okay. Not sure I understand all of that, but interesting. Interesting. Access to nature. Access to nature. Isn't that supposed to be free? I mean, if you analyze this a little bit, Norway, compared to a lot of countries, has a super high proportion of beautiful nature to explore. So, yeah, you could argue that in Norway, it's easier to have access to beautiful, amazing nature than most places on Earth. I don't know if Norway charges. Norway doesn't really charge you to visit like national parks and just to hike. You can like hike and explore anywhere, and you're not going to get charged, right? So yeah, I guess that applies. Vin Monopolit has monopoly on anything over 4.5 alcohol. Right. This is talking about how some of the alcohol, the wine, the wine in Norway is like cheaper because of the way the government owns the sale of it. If I understand that correctly. Canned tuna. Canned tuna. Some of this stuff is so random. Like, so random. Was very cheap when I was in Norway. Canned tuna. It really depends on what country you're comparing Norway to. Yes, exactly. Prices of some things vary a lot from one continent to another. Yep. High quality fish. Yes. Yes, because Norway does a lot of fishing. Yes, high quality fish. That makes so much sense. Like in America, you can't even get fresh fish. Like, not really. Let alone high quality fish. Yeah, this is something Norway's known for, right? Like, then they sell a lot of their fresh fish, salmon, right? To Japan or other countries like in Asia, right? I learned a bit about this, but yeah, this makes total sense that the price of fish would be like a lot more friendly and sustainable in Norway because Norway does a lot of fishing, has a very large coast. That makes a ton of sense. The fish and like it's probably super nice, right? Super nice fish, like the quality. For certain fish, especially trout, I think this is true. Norwegian trout is great. And the quality of what can be fished is amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. I'm not a big fish eater, just because I'm American, and we don't have amazing fresh fish to dine on. But if I was in Norway and had access to the fresh, high-quality fish, I feel like I would take advantage. Even though I don't have a lot of experience eating fish, so it kind of scares me a little bit. But on the other hand, for ocean fish, for example, salmon, although Norway produces a lot of it, almost all of it is not high quality. Really? Okay. Well, you do like sell a ton of it. Norway is one of the leading exporters of fish or salmon, I think. I think I heard that. Infrastructure, health insurance, higher education, utilities. It's paid by taxes. Ah, yes. The taxes, yes, yes. Healthcare. DNT? I don't know what that is. Is that a drug? I don't know what that is. Diapers! Diapers, man! I keep hearing diapers. Diapers must be the number one thing people point to. Diapers, again! Hunting, skiing, outdoor clothes. Oh, cool. I hope that's true. Norwegians do a lot of outdoor activity, right? See, in America, if Americans do a lot of something, the price tends to be like higher because businesses just want to take advantage of you and charge you the maximum amount. But in Norway, it seems like, at least for the critical things, it's the opposite. Like the stuff people need, Norway is like very friendly to like the people of Norway, and it's like we're gonna make the price accessible to everyone. That's amazing. That's just like a cultural thing. That's just like an amazing cultural thing about Norway. The fact that you can work almost every job full time and live a mostly comfortable life makes me think that it's really not that expensive. Well, yeah, that's a whole other topic for debate. Like, how expensive is Norway actually? If you have a job, a full-time job in Norway, because it's all relative. If stuff in Norway is expensive, maybe, but people might be earning more on average, which relative makes everything work out. Yeah, that's good to point out. Consumer electronics are cheaper in Norway than almost any other country? Really? Really? Consumer electronics. I wonder why that is. You would think of everything. Electronics are not going to be like cheap anywhere. Some stuff has to be expensive, and like like computers and TVs and game consoles you'd think would not be that cheap anywhere on earth. So I wouldn't have been disappointed, but apparently in Norway, some of the consumer electronics are cheaper. Electric cars, again, that's great. They're not taxed that significantly. Wow. This is fascinating, man. Diapers, almonds, tampons. Okay, almonds? Really? Almonds are so expensive in America. Like, ridiculous. I never get almonds. Wow. This is good. Diapers again. Electronics are cheap here. What? Diapers and electronics are cheap in Norway? This is blowing my mind, especially the electronics. This is fascinating, man. I'm really glad that I found this little discussion on Reddit. This was really interesting. Because Norway is known for being expensive, especially if you watch a lot of YouTube videos about Norway, like I do. You hear time and time again how expensive stuff is. So to finally like get to read a discussion about things that are cheaper than other parts of the world, actually, that's really kind of cool. It's kind of cool. And it turns out that a lot of the things in Norway that are cheap are things that you really need, which I think is great. That's such a good perspective, a good practice to have, and it makes a lot of sense. Anyway, I enjoyed this. I did. If you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway, Norwegian culture, stuff in Norway I've never learned about or seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.